5, 3.
Red 57, Red 57, hot.
I don't believe what I just saw.
Bill McKenzie kicks a 38-yard field goal on the final play of the football game.
5 seconds left in the game. Do you believe in miracles? Yes!
It is a great night to be a Mountaineer wherever you may be.
From the home of the state's land-grant institution, inside the Health Plan Studios, in the Dale B. Miller Building in Morgantown, it's time for the state's most listened-to sports talk show. This is the CityNet Statewide Sportsline. CityNet, cybersecurity experts for the digital age. And now, across the state of West Virginia and beyond, Sportsline is on the air.
And we welcome you to downtown Morgantown, MetroNews Radio and Television Network Studios. It is the Sunday Night Sportsline presented by CityNet from the Health Plan Studios. Travis Jones along with Coach Greg Hunter. 19th day of April 2026. It's a big Sunday night here. Big spring game wrap-up Sunday night as another spring practice has come and gone at West Virginia University as we now transition into really the end of the semester and then the summer activities. And before you know it, fall will be here and football season will arrive. So we'll talk about what transpired over at the stadium coming up on the show tonight. Get your thoughts if you were in attendance at the spring game, just under 20,000 estimated attendance there. We will We'll get your thoughts on our text lines, what you saw, 304-TALK, 304-800-765-8255. Your likes, your dislikes from what little football you saw. But a good little sample size there. At least the guys got around and threw it around a little bit offensively. So we'll jump into that. Baseball team also wrapping up another Big 12 weekend series win against the Houston Cougars, as the Mountaineers bounce back from a rough Friday night to beat the Cougs 7-1 yesterday, 7-3 earlier today at Kendrick Family Ballpark in a breezy and chilly. Welcome to second winter here the next couple of days. Pitt Panthers invade on Tuesday night, and then weekend series at Cincinnati coming up next weekend, who, by the way, defeated UCF in that weekend series earlier today. So things are really heating up while they're cooling down outside. They're heating up in the Big 12 standings. So.
Yeah, I mean, boy, hard to believe after almost a hot afternoon yesterday for those who were in attendance at Milan Puskar Stadium for the spring festival game, whatever we may call it. And then all of a sudden today, if you turned around and went to baseball, you better put away the shorts and T-shirts and pull out long pants and a sweatshirt, because it was a little bit chilly. But for the Mountaineers, relatively successful weekend, as you said, after losing on Friday to Houston, bounce back with 2 wins. So take the series, now move forward. West Virginia now in second place in the Big 12 baseball standings. That lost 2 out of 3 to Cincinnati by UCF over the weekend, dropped the Knights a game behind West Virginia. Kansas currently leads the Big 12. They've got a 2-game lead over West Virginia, which has a 1-game lead over UCF and Arizona State. So, Mountaineers still very much in contention for a Big 12 regular season title, but they're going to have a series at Kansas later in the year that very well may determine that, but Mountaineers don't want to lose any ground before that. But this series at Cincinnati is going to be critical and also very difficult, as the Bearcats just beat UCF, a team that had beat West Virginia 2 out of 3 just a couple of weeks ago.
All right, so we got a couple players met with the media following the game today. Chance and Cole and Brody Kresser. Also Steve Sabins, of course, addressed the media as well. So we'll hear all that coming up in our second hour, along with the football conversations and the reaction post the spring scrimmage / practice, if you will. Mountaineers also got a verbal commitment this weekend as well. Another class of 27 commitment. And Coach Hunter, another linebacker as well.
Yeah, I've gotten now 4 linebackers, really 3 in about the last week or so, as they get Wesley Flamer a linebacker, speedy linebacker out of Virginia, very productive career in Virginia. Now, remember, these guys are all class of 2027 players, and thus they're just going into their senior year, finishing up their junior year of high school right now. Another month or so to go as juniors before they get into their senior season. But West Virginia very much putting together the class of 2027. Long ways still to go, but Mountaineers didn't recruit a lot of high school linebackers, a couple in the class of 26, guys that are here already, 3 total. But I knew that was, and the coaches had said, that was going to be a target for the next year because they do want to continue to build in that area. But, so right now, West Virginia looks like it's doing pretty good work in putting together players at that position. A little bit of mingling elsewhere, but certainly linebacker's been the biggest single position that they've gotten commitments so far.
So Flamer 62207, as you mentioned, Virginia, Chantilly, Virginia, Westfield High School, had offers from Syracuse, East Carolina, Temple, Bowling Green, his top 5, if you will, including West Virginia, so commits to the Mountaineers. So, again, recruiting never stops, and this 27 class, now includes, as Greg mentioned, 4 linebackers, Ricky Brown, Sarovic, Baker, and Flamer, D lineman, and Jor Webb, Roscoe Hayes, a wide receiver, and a running back, and Lee Prince Jr.
Yeah. So again, final numbers are always hard to tell anymore. West Virginia last year signed over 40 high school players. And, then on top of that, there were another 30-plus transfers. I do think ultimately Rich Rodriguez would like to get down in that transfer number, though that's never going away. I'm not going to say that's ever going to get close to 0, but maybe in the, 20s transfers, 30s for high school players, because you just don't want to have to see the attrition and turnover year to year. And West Virginia had a good bit of that, though the fact that there's not a second portal period, you pretty much got what you got right now. But I thought, what we saw in the spring practice this past week, or, yesterday, was very interesting, and I think shows that they've got the makings of a solid club for 26 while they're still doing work on 27.
Yeah, obviously I'll pick your brain in the next segment about what you saw and your impressions, and we'll get folks' impressions on text. It seemed like there were a couple prevailing themes on Twitter that I'll run you by and see if you agreed with from fans that were there. Quickly, though, before we leave recruiting, let's talk basketball roster real quick and get an update on that. So West Virginia currently with 5 new players, if you will, 3 transfers that have signed with the Mountaineers. Of course, you have the 2 high school kids coming in from this past recruiting class as well. So as you look at this basketball roster, how much work is there to be done? We know there's work to be done, but how much work is there to be done? And what timetable do you think this gets done?
First of all, how much work is to be done? There's still a good bit of work to be done. Now, the players that West Virginia has so far, starting with the high school and Miles Sadler, and then the 3 transfers, are all high-end players that, it's easy to say would be starters, but definitely guys that you plan on. Alu Diem, the big kid from the prep school in Arizona, probably a little bit more of a lower part of the rotation player because he needs to develop a little bit. But the other 4 very much factors. But obviously, you need more than 4. We don't know. Amir Jenkins looks like he's going to return. Don't know his health status for next year, though. Still a lot of questions on whether Jackson Fields will return. If he does return, he is certainly has an opportunity to be a significant factor for West Virginia, but we don't know because it comes down to what resources can he get at West Virginia, what resources can he get elsewhere, and who's the highest bidder anymore. So that's all part of it. So You add all that together, and you're probably looking at another 5 or 6 guys that West Virginia needs, and they're all almost certainly going to be transfers. There may be a high school kid out there. I know West Virginia has been involved with some that are still very high level that maybe they reclassify. There's always a chance of a foreign player or two in there, but I think a lot of what you're looking at right now for West Virginia is transfers. And again, they've soaked up a lot of their resources into the players that they've gotten so far. So how much is left in the account to be able to go out and spend big money on further high-level, high-dollar transfers? That's something I don't know, but I think the idea is, okay, now we've got to find some guys that are a little bit more within budget because we've spent a big portion of what we had dedicated on Osila, Miles Sadler, and all those guys.
Josh Holloway, Texas A&M, is a guy to watch. Narrowed his list to 3. That is West Virginia, Southern Cal, and Memphis. He averaged just 5 points per game, 2 assists at Texas A&M. So, again, who knows, because we're seeing guys that are averaging 5 points a game garnering over $1 million in the portal. But you would think that this might be a guy that is in that budgetary idea.
Yeah, and West Virginia, just look at position-wise, again, depending on what Jackson Field's ultimate decision is, but need a power forward type. Sela will be, is likely or, projected as your center. You need a power forward. And then you need backups at basically every position from there. So I think you have to go in with the assumption that Jenkins is not going to be healthy enough to play this coming season. Maybe he will, but you better not make that assumption here in April and leave yourself with a big hole when you get into, August, September, October. But really, I think you could use somebody all across the board, at least in role player, heavily used backup type positions.
And finally, just to get you caught up on what transpired into the weekend on the women's side, West Virginia got a commitment from a Pitt transfer in Nyla Wilson, a 5'9" guard from Chester, Virginia.
Was a 5-star recruit coming out of high school. She's a native of Virginia, but spent her senior season at IMG Academy, the very, highly respected prep school in Florida. Was a 5-star recruit, the highest recruit Pitt has ever had in terms of status, but had very little playing time. It's still not quite certain if it was injury or what ultimately led to her hardly seeing the floor for the Panthers. Just played in a half a dozen games this past year. And I tried to do a little bit of, just internet exploration as to what the status was. But Pitt didn't put anything out if there was an injury situation. But whatever it was, she saw very little action for Pitt this year, but really came out as a guard with huge recruiting accolades. So if Markello can get her to live up to that, that's another feather in his cap. But again, admittedly, a question as to what transpired for her not playing more at Pitt. Was it she didn't fit into what they were doing? They weren't a great club this year, but interestingly, it is the second transfer West Virginia has gotten from Pitt as they're trying to remake their roster. They've gone into Panther territory a couple of times and gotten players, both of whom look like they have outstanding talents because they were really highly thought of at the prep school level, but neither saw much time for the Panthers.
All right, very good. We'll take a break. We'll talk spring game, get your thoughts on that. Text as well, 304-TALK-304. Other topic I feel like we need to spend a little bit of time on tonight is this quickly approaching, because the NCAA is going to discuss it this coming week, the 5-for-5 and the age, because I just want to clarify to folks how important this is, because And talking with a college administrator this weekend, he brought up something to me that I hadn't even thought about. This affects players that just graduated.
Yes.
Because they could get a year back.
Yeah.
So
and Brennan Lorient and
yes.
Trace and Eaglestaff for West Virginia both could get a year of eligibility back if the 5-for-5 rule goes into effect quickly.
All right.
And there are many across the landscape,
yep.
but those are two that were with West Virginia this past year.
All right, we'll discuss that and what reaching effect that could have on really all divisions, because the feeling is this will be a global. This will be instituted globally in all three divisions in NCAA sports.
Yeah, certainly change things. But of course, the world's so different right now. we just get used to that. Yep. But it would take away the 6th and 7th year guys that we see now.
Sure would. And also, button up the transfer a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
All right, we'll talk about that coming up. 6:22, Sportsline continues just underway on the Sunday night. Thanks for joining us.
Answering a text or phone call while driving. Seems pretty harmless, right? But in the 5 seconds you took your eyes off the road to respond, you missed the girl riding her bike across the street. You missed the dog who darted into the road. And you missed the stop sign. And while it was just a ticket this time, it could have been worse. In fact, more than 700 people are injured in distracted driving crashes each day. Keep yourself and others safe. Don't drive distracted. Just drive. This message was brought to you by the West Virginia Governor's Highway Safety Program.
We are there for you, to care for you at the health plan. We are here for you.
For over 4 decades, we've been rooted deep inside West Virginia. Through thick and thin, supporting local families and businesses. Proudly serving your neighborhood since 1979. Your trusted partner in the community.
The health plan. We are here for you.
Live from the Health Plan Studios, the CityNet statewide Sportsline returns in 2 minutes on MetroNews, the voice of West Virginia.
Sunshine, open roads, and a new Toyota from Dan Cava Toyota World. Lease an all-new Camry for as low as $398 a month. All new Tundras now up to $8,000 off. All new Tacomas now up to $4,500 off, or lease as low as $399 a month. $7,500 off the new BZ or 0% financing for 72 months. We've got a Toyota for you at Dan Cava Toyota World in Fairmont. Shop the world.
CityNet is West Virginia's leading technology company. Whether we're managing IT infrastructures, protecting the critical data and networks of our region's businesses, or providing fiber broadband, TV, and phone services, we are your go-to experts. We're also a strong partner in the communities in which we serve. CityNet, your trusted technology partner. Learn more about us, visit citynet.net.
Looking for a show that talks about everything? You found it.
By the way, I'm really happy to talk about this as opposed to Ryan's opinion that being a sports fan is a bad thing.
He said that it kept him from being stressed about it, not that it was a bad thing. They didn't have the stress. And, I mean, I've seen you pace.
Yeah, you're only 30 and you look like that.
So true.
Join Dave Weekly and Coop weekdays for Hotline on MetroNews Television.
Sportsline continues. Welcome back on this Sunday night. Let's get you updated on what's happening across the NBA playoffs today. Got a couple of games already final. 2 more still to come tonight. Joe Mazzulla and the Boston Celtics won their series opener with Philadelphia 123-91 in the East first round. So Boston takes a 1-0 lead, as did the Thunder, as Oklahoma City defeated the Suns 119-84. Coming up at 6:30, Orlando is in Detroit. That's on NBC. And 9 o'clock tonight on NBC, it's the Trailblazers and the Spurs. So that's the action in the NBA. What else is going on today? Is there any hockey?
Yeah, they're into the early round or first round of the NHL playoffs. I know they started last night. Philadelphia beat the Penguins in their first game matchup.
Yep, 3-2.
But there are others.
Canadians leading the Lightning 1-0, 2:23 in the opening period. Coming up later tonight, Bruins and Sabres skate at 7:30. Got the out in Las Vegas. Vegas will be in action against Utah, and the puck drops on that one at 10 p.m. Avalanche beat the Kings 2-1. So there you go. Now you're up to date. Won't run you through the baseball scores because there's a jillion of those, but that's what's happening.
Pirates won
elsewhere.
Cardinals, if you're paying attention to the Cardinals, who obviously feature a couple of former Mountaineers, they won. So
very good. What about the Reds? Anything about the Reds? The Reds beat the Twins 7-4.
There you go.
How about that?
Sorry, I didn't mean to leave out the southern
How
portion
about
of the state.
Guardians beat the Orioles 8-4.
So you
So
take
gotta get the panhandle.
north,
right?
south, and east. You've gotten them all taken care of now.
All right, sounds good. Steve Philippi, Coach Hunter, curious to watch. Wait a minute. Hold on. Sorry, Steve. I think I missed a. No, here we go. I wasn't looking down. Coach Hunter, how did Hawkins play and receivers, offensive line, corners, backers, and safeties?
So he wasn't worried about the punter?
No, I didn't care about
that
the
was
punter
about the only
and
one.
or the holder.
I'm kidding you, Steve. I mean, for the most part, I thought the offensive line was fine. I wouldn't say it was dominant, but for the first and foremost, you always look are the free rushers. You blocking people, and almost nothing's 100%, but 96% of the time look like they got a hat on a hat. Got some movement. You'd have liked to have always seen more dominance, but I thought West Virginia's defensive line played pretty well. I mean, that's always the thing when you scrimmage yourself, right? One side looks good. Maybe it's because the other side's not playing well. And I thought for the most part, offensively, it was pretty solid. Now, again, we have to put in the caveat the defense was really restricted in what they were able to do just because, Rich has said multiple times that, he wanted to just keep things basic, let kids go out and play freely without doing a ton of thinking, and they'll start adding to their packages. After the scrimmage yesterday, we'll hear from Zach Alley, but he said they only use 5 different defenses, and he's got dozens and dozens of different ones. So, I thought, start with the offensive line. It was solid in that area. I thought the wide receivers, probably the same thing. There were a couple of drops, but for the most part, I thought they made some nice plays. John Nider, wide receiver, we'll hear from after a little bit because they brought him out for the immediate transfer from UConn. Had a really nice sort of quick slant for a touchdown that he grabbed for Michael Hawkins. I thought Hawkins was good. Both he and Scotty Fox were a little bit limited. First and foremost, they didn't give them 30 reps each. The younger guys got more reps, and I didn't count them to give you an exact number, but Fox and Hawkins were a little bit limited on reps, and then they were the only 2 players in non-contact jerseys, right? So when in Rich's offense, when your quarterbacks are asked to run and you're playing 2-hand touch with them, that takes away part of their game. But I thought Hawkins was solid. I've said it before. Got a little bit of a different delivery in terms of a low delivery, but it's right from the ear and gets out in a hurry. So quick snap. out of it, but it is a little bit different than maybe a traditional delivery, but he certainly seems to have all the arm strength that you would want. Missed a throw or two along the way, but that touchdown pass to Nider I thought was really good. Quick decision and quick hard throw into a tight window. I thought Scotty Fox was fine as well. The other quarterbacks, quick analysis on them. To tell you what, the guy who threw the ball the best probably the entire day was Max Brown. Yep. One of the backups. Nice
scramble too.
Yeah, had a nice scramble. I thought he all of a sudden, we've seen him in the past because he was with West Virginia last year. Didn't get a whole lot of game action and quite honestly didn't do anything to knock your socks off in game time. But this is the best we've seen him. And all of a sudden you go, ooh, okay, your number 3 is probably pretty solid as well if he can play like he did the other day. I left as impressed with him as I did anyone. The 3 younger guys, because all of them made plays. And starting with Max Anderson, the Eastern Panhandle kid, I thought he showed some solid things. And then the 2 true freshmen both made some really nice plays with their legs. Now, I'm not certain where their passing ability is right now, but Jaron Hewley and John Johnson, both I thought really showed great wheels. Hewley with a 60-yard touchdown run when he just exploded out of the backfield and outran everybody. That was a guy that all of a sudden turned a lot of heads with what he did. That pretty much takes care of the offensive line. Running back, a lot of guys got opportunities. There wasn't anybody who really jumped out. Cam Cook was really limited in his usage. And again, you're not going to get a guy like him injured or take any risks with him. Amari Latimer had a few opportunities, showed the power that you would like to see out of him, but he didn't get a whole lot of opportunities outside. So we don't know, he's a big back. Can he make a play to the outside? Can't determine that right now from what he saw, but he was able to run through a few tackles on inside zone and such. Defensively, I thought the front was pretty good for the most part. They gave up some run alleys to the outside to the quarterbacks, but I thought for the most part the defensive front was pretty solid. Didn't get a ton of pass rush, a little bit on occasion, but not a ton. Secondary, sort of like everything else, some good moments, some others where they gave up a few plays, but you came out of that game, scrimmage game, and go, okay, I didn't see anything that would lead me to believe they're all of a sudden going to win a national championship, but I didn't see anything that just was a glaring worry either. But again, when it's a scrimmage, it can be really hard to determine if you're any good because you're playing yourself.
Yeah. Yeah, I think historically, if you look back at the bad teams and you look back at the good teams, there's probably not a whole lot of difference in the spring games.
Yeah, no, I think you're probably right. So sometimes you can tell if there's a really weak area.
And you could tell, I think, two things, and that kind of leads me into the Twitter observations I saw. Most people said look bigger and look faster.
Speed part is still something I wonder about. Definitely a little bit bigger. But, last year's offensive line didn't lack for size. I mean, you had big guys last year, but, they just weren't very good, to be brutally honest. This year, I think you have a lot more depth along the offensive line. I think you're going to go 10, 11 guys who can play for you. And they've all got pretty good size, but I think they all have skill. So that's hope. There are a couple of them that were injured and didn't play. Landon Livingston didn't play, and Voss didn't play. They've been dealing with injuries. So, but those, for the most part, West Virginia was relatively injury-free this spring. But like I said, I know that's a nice point in terms of bigger, something people have talked about, and probably a little bit, but I don't think last year's line was size wasn't their problem. It was more talent. And then faster, I still want to see that because I still don't know.
Okay. Greg, a question about Landon Livingston. Michael in Massachusetts asked, is he no longer in the starting rotations?
Well, he's been. The last couple weeks when we've had some chances to see, West Virginia in practice in terms of the media, he's been hurt and hasn't been able to play. So he's certainly fighting for a starting job, but despite the fact he was a starter last year, it's far from a given. I wouldn't say he is definitely a 2, but for him to win the starting job, it's going to take a little bit. I think Nick Cray, the other starter from last year, nobody's cemented as number 1, but I think you can look at him and go, oh, you know what? He's probably your starting left guard. He was a left tackle in the past. It looks like he's going to move down and play guard. But Livingston, who can play center and guard, he's got a battle on his hands. But it doesn't mean he can't win that at this point in time.
I appreciate the text. Greg in Lake Norman, I wasn't at the football festival Saturday, so I can't comment on what I saw there, but I did get a chance to watch the new Jerry West, the Logo documentary on Prime this weekend. Extremely good. I would highly recommend it to all WVU fans. Apparently a lot have already watched it because it was trending at like number 3 or 4 most watched yesterday, I noticed, said Greg.
I got a chance to watch that, and I sort of took a few different days and watched it in pieces, but nothing we didn't really know, but always really interesting. I don't know if you had a chance to see it yet, Travis, but interesting. And those that are at the top of what they do always seem a little bit wired differently. I mean, his competitiveness was so obvious, even in his 80s during that last interview session, and how bummed out he still got for losses and coming up short more than victories. He agonized over the losses, and it still bothered him. But yeah, the guys that are the best of the best are just wired differently.
Yep, for sure. All right, Kevin in Oak Hill, talking, I believe, about the basketball team. He writes in and says, basketball, I thought there were originally 3 high schoolers. Did one back out?
Yes, Kingston Whitty, guard, originally from the Georgia area, played prep school in North Carolina, has backed out. And, sort of the behind-the-scenes word is he saw that Miles Sadler is really, really high-end, and the opportunity for playing time at the point guard position is certainly going to be Sadler's first and foremost.
David in Winfield, Rich Rod seems really positive about the team he has built for this year. What are your guys feeling about the evolution of the team, knowing the team won't take any more portal hits? Surely we can at least be 500. Coaches have to deliver quicker nowadays since players can't be expected to be around the following year. Asked David.
Yeah, everybody's wanting decisions anymore. I do think Rich feels that this is certainly a better team. How much better? I think everybody is still wondering that, including coaches. They don't know. I think they have a chance to be a 500 or slightly better team. West Virginia, if you look at the schedule, first 7 games are huge because they're all winnable, but a bunch of those are also, coin flip type games. You win those, you get a chance to be well over 500. Your last 5 are going to be much more difficult. And there's some wins in there that you can get or, hopefully will get, but how they start off with those early games. A Virginia game in Charlotte is huge because that's going to be tough, but that's also when you win that and get over the top there, that helps. But I think you look around, it certainly feels like it's a more talented team in a lot of aspects this year, especially offensively. But again, the other thing last year, you weren't as bad last year. Offensive line wasn't very good, but you just took so many injuries.
Yeah,
that just decimated you. Running back and quarterback, I've never seen the likes of what they had to deal with, and you have that happen again. You can't overcome it this year either.
Yeah, those things normally run in cycles.
You'd like to think.
Usually when you have a bad injury year, the next year you're in pretty good shape. So hopefully that's the case. But I think what the texter said is key, and I think the reason that you might sense a little more optimism for Rich Rod is because he truly knows what he has right now.
Yeah.
And he knows the areas where they're weak, but he's got time to fix it. And tomorrow he's not going to turn around and all of a sudden, the guy that he was counting on to be the backup wherever is gone.
Yeah.
So, I think a lot of coaches are sleeping a lot better these days because of that.
No, I think you're exactly right. I agree with you wholeheartedly. The fact that there's not a spring portal window makes them feel like they've got they know what they've got in terms of their team. And I think he feels like they put together a pretty good group. The transfers that they added to their offensive line are all guys that have played a lot of college football at their previous stops. Division I, FBS level college football for the most part. And I think, it starts there.
Yep.
This team's got to be able to run the football better. Offensive line's part of it. You got a really high-end running back in Cam Cook, but you had one last year in Jaheim White, who unfortunately got hurt.
Yep.
But your offensive line wasn't very good. And I think you feel like your quarterbacks are more suited to be able to run the offense that Rich wants to run. I'll forever enjoy the opportunities I had to speak with Nico Marchio, but he wasn't built for this offense. And, you did what you could do with him until he got hurt. But I think between Scotty Fox and Mike Hawkins and even Max Brown, you got guys who can do what Rich wants to do.
Gary and Vienna, well, you covered everything except for what Gary and Vienna wants to know, and that is what do you expect from the punting and kicking game this year?
The punter is going to be the Hartson kid from Colorado State, who's one of the best punters in the country last year. Backups, okay. He better stay healthy. Though, how often do your punters get hurt? We saw Jack Cassidy yesterday, who is fighting for your number one place kicking job as the number 2 punter. He had a shank that went about 8 yards. So now Rich said he can be a lot better than that, but still. Your number 1 guy is really good. And it's going to be interesting in terms of the place kicking battle. Cassidy, the kid from Ireland, who's a transfer from Western Kentucky, has a huge leg. They did some place kicking competition right before they got into the scrimmage work. He hit one from 50 that had at least 15 extra yards of clearance and drilled it. He's looked really good. I think the expectation when he got here was he's your kickoff guy and not your place kicking guy. But he's looked really, really good when I've gotten a chance to see him in both those areas. So I think that could be a strength for West Virginia. And then you add in Pete Notaro, a transfer from Alabama, who's a native of the Pittsburgh area, North Allegheny High School, was hurt, had a foot injury for much of the spring, so we didn't get a chance to see him. But he was highly regarded coming out of high school, had only a couple of chances in his 1 year at Alabama. But I think between he and Cassidy, you're going to be fine at your place kicking job. Your long snapper, McGuire Moss, returns. He's, as solid as anybody. And we'll see the return game. They had guys back a couple times on punt returns, but it was fair catch only. Nobody got hit. So we'll see what the return game is like. But I think in terms of the specialists, I think they're pretty good there. At least, quick indication of what we've seen.
All right, we'll take a break. We'll come back. More football conversation as we wrap up the spring game. 304 Talk 304 when we return.
We are there for you, to care for you at the health plan. We are here for you.
For over 4 decades, we've been rooted deep inside West Virginia. Through thick and thin, supporting local families and businesses. Proudly serving your neighborhood since 1979. Your trusted partner in the community.
The health plan. We are here for you.
When heart surgery is needed, You deserve world-class care, close to home and always within reach. At WVU Medicine's Heart and Vascular Institute, our board-certified surgeons perform heart transplants, valve repairs, and other complex procedures using the latest techniques, including robotic surgery. For more information, visit wvumedicine.org/heart.
Live from the Health Plan Studios, the CityNet statewide Sportsline returns in 2 minutes on MetroNews, the voice of West Virginia.
Patients who have allergies and sinusitis, they have worse quality of life on many levels. At the WVU Medicine Sinus and Allergy Center, we provide all the most recent technology in office procedures to help patients who cannot breathe through their nose. Patients come in, within half an hour they can leave. Whatever problem with the sinus and allergy you're having, we can help you get the right treatment.
Longer days, warmer drives, and better deals at Dan Cava GMC. Hit the road in one of our new luxury GMC Acadias. All this and more at Dan Cava GMC in Bridgeport. Shop the world.
Download MetroNews Television on your iPhone or Android. Search MetroNews Television in your app store. Create an account today to get alerts and watch all live and archived content. Download now.
In 1914, the same year the first commercial flight soared and the Panama Canal opened, Greer Industries was born. Herbert and Agnes Greer began in Morgantown, West Virginia, striking the first pick into the limestone formation that would become the backbone of one of the state's great industrial legacies. From the roads we drive on, the buildings we build, and the communities we serve, Greer Industries has been delivering quality for decades. At Greer Industries, we've been improving lives for more than a century.
Leading the efforts to build a stronger West Virginia, the High Technology Foundation has a proven plan to strengthen and diversify our state's economy. The I-79 Technology Park's high-capacity infrastructure continues to attract advanced federal operations that are driving economic growth. This keeps our young, educated residents in the state and brings West Virginians home. The High Technology Foundation, building a stronger West Virginia. Learn more today at wvhtf.org.
All right, welcome back. 12 till. We got a ton of post-game from baseball today, football yesterday. We'll get all that to you coming up in the 7 o'clock hour. Got a blockbuster trade in the UFL.
UFL trades?
Yeah.
Boy, that's where we are
now?
now?
I typically wouldn't tell you this, but it is, it's not often you get a starting quarterback traded middle of the year. But
no.
Birmingham Stallions are trading quarterback Matt Corral, the former Ole Miss standout, and I think he might have won the Player of the Year in the UFL. He's been like a lifer in the UFL. And Armani Bledsoe to Anthony Beck and the Orlando Storm, who, if you've not paid attention to the UFL, and judging by the television ratings, you haven't. They're 4-0 on the season. The Storm currently leading the UFL, and they're giving up. This is a name you'll know. Dorian Thompson-Robinson, former Cleveland Browns starting quarterback.
Yep.
So he's heading to Orlando.
Okay. Well, hey, Anthony has really had a successful run in the UFL, or in its whatever it was prior to that, from his time in St. Louis to now in Orlando. I mean, he's won a lot of games in those leagues.
Has.
Give him a lot of credit.
Yep, no doubt. All right, let's see. Text Mike and Scott Depot. Any more news on the Gavin Kelly and Max Yale injuries? Also, we have a good team this year, but I think we can get too picky at the plate sometimes. But I hope our batting picks up towards the last half of the season, or we might lose more games than we should.
Gavin Kelly injured his wrist on Friday. Mountaineer, he splits time between second base and catching, Mountaineers' top offensive player. But I know Steve Saban has said that doesn't look like it's a break or anything. It's easy for me to say that's real long term. Missed the last couple of games, but obviously his return will be key. But it doesn't appear that it was really bad news with his wrist injury. I haven't heard Maxiel, who his outing on Saturday, Mountaineer starting pitcher, was limited because of some sort of oblique injury or something like that. So haven't heard as to what his prognosis is going to be.
Yeah, Steve Sabins was asked today on the broadcast and basically echoed what you just said.
Yeah.
Some swelling in the wrist of Kelly, but X-ray was clean, and it seems like a little less specific on what's going on with Max, but it seems like the hope is he won't miss a start next weekend.
Yeah,
so
there you go. And I know that certainly for Gavin Kelly, a Pittsburgh area kid, he really wants to be able to play on Tuesday, if at all possible, when the Pitt Panthers come to Kendrick Family Ballpark.
Yep, and if you're planning on coming to the ballpark on Tuesday, break out the winter jacket. If, in fact, sometimes these games get actually, Tuesday's supposed to be a little warmer.
Okay.
I think, it bounces back tomorrow. Tomorrow night, low is 30, but 71 on Tuesday. So
that'd be
okay.
great.
Yep. Sorry, I got a day off there. Texter says, "Holy cow, crazy! Jack Cassidy is kicking. I hope that David and Sean come to some of the games. Teenagers will go crazy." Showing your age there, Texter.
Yeah.
The do run.
Yeah, very much so.
Yep. Absolutely.
It's okay, but I guess the fact that you and I both understand his reference tells you that
you
we're
and I
right
can
there.
go back to Butch Cassidy, the Sundance Kid.
Jack is. I tell you what. I mean, again, I was really impressed with him because, Irish kid hasn't played American football that long. Apparently has a strong leg. He's going to be your kickoff guy, but. Again, I don't think you anoint him your starting place kicker yet because Pete Notaro is going to have an opportunity to fight for that job. And I'm not going to dismiss Nate Flower, the Fairmont native, who had a good spring as well. But I think between those three, I think West Virginia's place kicking job is good. And I know Rich is really happy with how with how Cassidy's handled kickoffs and thinks that that area, which hasn't been a strength for West Virginia in quite a while, by guys who can just boom the ball out of the end zone and thus have touchbacks all the time. I think he's got to feel that will be much, much better this year.
No doubt. Mike in Charleston. Mike, good evening. Welcome to Sportsline.
Good evening, gentlemen. How are you doing?
Hey, Mike.
Good. Hate to see Hunter. I hate to see Carter trade league. Wasn't getting a lot of playing time. Obviously, 25 minutes a game. But her stats went down since she left Wisconsin. So now we're down to 3 players, not counting the recruits: Gina Cook, Riley, and Maddie Parrish.
Yeah, Mike, I agree with you real quick. I liked Carter a great deal. I think she was a perfect sort of complementary piece. She wasn't going to be your top scorer, but she could rebound, she could defend, she was tough inside, did a lot of things. And, she was a starter, so she may not have been getting 40 minutes a game, but she was playing a lot of basketball. But in today's world, don't know what her expectations were or what her desires were. And women's college game doesn't derive the same NIL opportunities as the men, but there's still money there. I don't know if that's part of her decision or not.
Yeah, well, also, too, her playing time got cut a little bit because they would bring in Cece, who was probably the best passer, big girl passer on the team, which cut minutes down a bit. But having said that, I like the recruits we got, especially I'm going to pronounce it wrong, but Ngodu, Ngodu,
yeah,
the UCF center. I mean, she could be the top 2 or 3 centers in the Big 12 if things work out for her. I mean, she's as Travis mentioned, when they did play us, she had 21 points, 9 boards, and she had a couple other games in double figures, 2 high double figures. So I like her. You got Shantae Murray, number 91, in ESPN. Good length. Zaza Walton, big-time athletic player from George Mason. Obviously, 5'11". I thought she was a little taller, but 5'11", averaged 18 points a game. And then the other girl from Pitt, Divine Kuma, she has all 4 years to go, so that could be interesting to find, too. Mm-hmm. I did try to find out a little bit on Nyla Wilson, 5'9" guard out of Virginia, number 2 in the state. Freshman class, 5-star, number 34, ESPN has her. Averaged about 21 points a game. So I'm hoping that he finds gold again, like he did, like Kerry did with Quinterly. If you remember, she was a 5-star recruit, hurts her knee, goes down to a 3-star recruit, but Mike stuck with her, and she alluded to that when she signed, and, here we go. So maybe we'll see what happens. I don't know if it's an injury, what happened to her, why she didn't get much playing time, but 5-star is still 5-star, and her high school record was very, very good. So I'm hoping, guys, that she and Shantae and Zaza will lead the class of recruits.
Yeah, well, you got a nice mix right now of younger players and then portal additions as well. And again, eventually, when Mark Kellogg continues to prove over and over again that he knows what he's doing, and each year he can bring in additions, you just look at him and say, okay, he knows what he's doing. He got girls, got women that can come in and help right away. And again, you look on paper. The transfers are very positive, especially the top couple you mentioned from George Mason and UCF. And then I'm not going to say Flyers, but the Pitt transfers come with high resumes from their earlier years, and now you hope they're able to take the step up.
A different environment. Different environment help them. The last 2 things, I lost what I was going to say. Crap.
Well, I'll give you a second to think, because another thing I'll throw in there is something we talked about at the top of the broadcast, and that's this 5-for-5 thing. Mm-hmm. If that passes relatively quickly, that's a big asterisk, whether that's going to happen. But you're going to have some women that are available to return as well. Of course, Sydney Woodley wasn't drafted. Mm-hmm. I have not seen that she signed a WNBA contract. I mean, they started today. So I think she's got another year, if I'm not mistaken. Sydney Shaw has another year, if I'm not mistaken. Of course, Jordan Harris is in camp. Mimi Wheeler, I believe, is a graduate, so I think she's out of eligibility.
Yeah, I believe you're right with her.
And then CeCe Rivieres, she would be available to come back as well.
So, it certainly could impact we talked about a couple of the men's players that could return to West Virginia, but there's certainly several of those women's players. And very significant pieces of that women's team. Again, but who knows if this rule is going to get passed that quickly. But I think a lot of people are thinking, you know what, if you're going to pass it right away. So, so
it's already late.
People know, and they can make their decisions from there.
Yeah, the last thing I was going to say was that before Carter made a decision to leave, they were looking for a wing and a point guard. So, because I think we all agree he's not going to have 15 in the roster. That makes no sense in today's basketball world. So he'll probably go 11, and maybe I would assume at least 11. So if he's got the 8, he needs 3 more now. So probably, like I said, a couple guards, maybe a wing. We'll see what, or a couple wings rather, and a point guard, I should say. Yeah.
Yeah, makes sense. Makes sense.
Makes sense. Yeah. And I'll see the coach tomorrow night, and I'll ask him what he can tell me tomorrow night, and report back later. So anyway,
that's it.
Sounds good. Yeah, we look forward to let us know what he says next week. All right, thanks, Mike. Appreciate it. Just a little more in case you haven't followed this as closely, this 5-for-5 we're talking about. So the NCAA committee this coming week is expected to explore their new age-based standard for athletic eligibility as a part of a proposal that's been in the works they say for weeks, but it's been talked about. To give you a little background, this was proposed during the Division II meetings.
Yeah.
And they thought that
a couple years ago, right?
Well, there was an opportunity to vote on it this past January, February, somewhere around in there. And they tabled it for 2 years. And it had a lot of support from the D2 administrators and commissioners from around Division II. There was a feeling that this was going to be kind of like a trial basis for the Division I to see how it worked. Then it got tabled, so everybody thought, well, I guess they're passing by it. But there seems to be a little momentum here, Greg, because you're getting high-level conference administrators that are, kind of tweeting it, talking about it publicly. So it seems to have a little bit of legs here, as opposed to just a report that was thrown up. So, again, the concept is have 5 full years of eligibility from the time of your 19th birthday or your high school graduation, whichever is earliest. No waivers. Red shirts, exceptions will be permitted except for a small group of outliers, those on maternity leave, military service, or religious missions. Members of the NCAA Division I cabinet are set to review the proposal at their meeting this coming week. While a timeline for approval remains unclear, it's likely weeks or months away, says this Yahoo Sports article. Weeks away, different story than months away, at least for this, the players we're just speaking about here. Legislation is considered an urgent matter with potential for implementation as soon as the coming academic year, which would be fall of 2026. If any implementation is expected to be phased in, as it is the case with most NCAA policy, for instance, leaders will take strides to avoid adversely impacting any current student-athlete's long-term eligibility under existing rules. What's unclear is if those players completing or having completed their final 4th season of eligibility will regain a 5th, or if they will fall within the new policy of the 5-year window. Okay, so that makes a little bit of sense there. Of course, you got the Trump executive order that went in as well, so you've got that you're dealing with, although that order could essentially be canceled if the NCAA rights their own ship, so to speak.
Yeah, and it's something they...
And am I right? There's one transfer here in this proposal, I think? You get one free transfer?
Yes. Yeah, well, that was part of the executive order from the president. I assume that's also something that they would be dealing with in this NCAA legislation. But because the transfer portal has gotten so out of whack, and everybody's feeling, they want to be able to put down some hard and fast rules. And instead of having, 6 and sometimes 7 years, because not only the transfers, but all the waivers that have gone through and the legal aspect of those waivers being forced by many. It's not just the NCAA granting them, but it's the court system, and sometimes even the West Virginia court system, federal court in West Virginia, that has allowed some of those waivers to go through. And so the NCAA is trying to find a way to put some structure into the eligibility situation. And again, this is something that's been talked about, but I think that the idea has gotten further and further closer to happening because people are tired of the 6th and 7th year guys that are transferring
I just read
every year.
There's currently 9 more that are pending in the courts.
Yeah.
9 more. And guys, we're talking 7, 8, and 9 years of eligibility.
Yeah.
Are the cases.
Now, the one thing we don't know is, okay, the NCAA puts into effect this rule, somebody gets hurt, and now they're going to sue to try to get a 6th year of eligibility. What happens in the court system? I mean, people can sue at any point for anything, sure. But will this rule stand up in the court of law, I guess, would be the ultimate question. And that same thing would happen if it comes from an executive order from the president, right? I mean, that doesn't mean that it can be definite, but I do think people feel that the 5-for-5 situation with one transfer would put a little bit of sanity back into the college world in terms of overall eligibility for student athletes. And like I said, I mean, I think for the most part, you look at the future of it, but the short-term impact of it is certainly significant. And we've just talked about basketball, but I mean, are there football guys out there that could have the same situation? And all of a sudden, after going through the spring and not having belief that they had any eligibility left, all of a sudden they go, "Oh, I could go play college."
Yeah, if they haven't gotten jobs or moved on.
Yeah, I mean, and not that everybody would take advantage of that, but some of them certainly may.
Mm-hmm.
And it's all the other sports, but it's going to be really interesting to see if it's passed and then how quickly they try to implement it. Again, my perception is it's a better idea than what we've had lately.
Yeah, I mean, if you could do the 5-for-5, and then like I said, I don't like the medical aspect of it, but as you said, somebody's going to sue anyway.
Yeah.
At some point, but the one transfer, and then if you try to transfer again, we go back to the olden days. You lose one of those 5 years.
Yeah.
So
or you sue.
Yep. Yeah, or you sue.
And it is, the few waivers that are in there make it interesting, especially in a league like the Big 12 that has a Mormon school that has a lot of those kids go on religious missions for a couple of years.
Yeah, they've always had 27-year-old players playing for them. I mean,
So.
All right, 7:07. We'll take a break. We'll come back. Some football tape, baseball tape still to come. And also, before we get into that, I wanted to share a tweet that I saw today that I think is absolutely jaw-dropping on the state of Pennsylvania high school football. So we always talk about why the recruiting is fallen off in Pennsylvania in the last 10, 15, 20 years.
Yeah.
I'll tell you why when we come back.
Answering a text or phone call while driving. Seems pretty harmless, right? But in the 5 seconds you took your eyes off the road to respond, you missed the girl riding her bike across the street. You missed the dog who darted into the road. And you missed the stop sign. And while it was just a ticket this time, it could have been worse. In fact, more than 700 people are injured in distracted driving crashes each day. Keep yourself and others safe. Don't drive distracted. Just drive. This message was brought to you by the West Virginia Governor's Highway Safety Program.
Worried about paying for college? MetroNews is proud to present the 19th Annual West Virginia Scholar Program, where one high school junior in West Virginia will win a full scholarship to West Virginia Wesleyan College, including room, board, tuition, and fees. For details, go to wvmetronews.com and click the Apply Now button. Deadline is May 3rd. The 2026 West Virginia Scholar Program, presented by Greer Industries and the West Virginia Hospital Association. Go to wvmetronews.com and apply today by May 3rd.
Live from the Health Plan Studios, the CityNet statewide Sportsline returns in 2 minutes on MetroNews, the voice of West Virginia.
You own a boat because you love spending time on the water. Choose the outboard that allows you to make the most of it. Honda Marine's legendary reliability, ease of maintenance, and powerful performance keep you going strong. And they're all backed by the peace of mind protection of the industry's best limited warranty. Visit your Honda Marine dealer today and find out why it's more than an engine. It's your time on the water.
What do you know about hot dogs? Because we've been all about hot dogs this week.
I love hot dogs, and I love them with Miracle Whip.
Oh, God, I forgot. Never mind.
And onions.
Okay.
I actually, yesterday morning, I had a hot dog for breakfast at 6:45 with onions and Miracle Whip.
And with that, we'll be back right after this.
Join Dave Allen weekdays for midday on Metro News Television.
You know CityNet is West Virginia's leading technology company. Whether we're managing IT infrastructures, protecting the critical data and networks of our region's businesses, or providing fiber broadband, TV, and phone services, we are your go-to experts. We're also a strong partner in the communities in which we serve. CityNet, your trusted technology partner. Learn more about us, visit citynet.net.
We are there for you, to care for you at the health plan. We are here for you.
The Health Plan proudly supports our active and healthy communities and has been your most trusted carrier for over 40 years. Log on to healthplan.org for more information.
We are there for you, to care for you at the health plan. We are here for you.
All right, welcome back. 7-Eleven Sportsline continues. Travis and Greg with you till 8 o'clock here. Thanks for joining us, Metro News Radio. You can watch the show on the Metro News television app as well. All right, so Pennsylvania, you go back to certainly the 70s all the way through the 80s, into the early 90s probably.
Fair.
You know, Pennsylvania was up there with Texas, California, Florida, as the places you would have to hit if you were one of the blue bloods and try to win.
Certainly West Virginia. I mean,
Yeah.
you just look at the players, and a lot of them were Western Pennsylvania kids from the Pittsburgh area, but certainly Bill Kurlavich was West Virginia's prime recruiter for Eastern Pennsylvania. And the success, the guys West Virginia got out of Pennsylvania, took Don Nehlen's club to where it ultimately went.
The reason for this is multitude of reasons, and we all know them. We don't have to cover them tonight because they're obvious and they're topics we've discussed before. But research was done by Bob Greenberg, who's a sports talk host in the Pittsburgh area. 1973, in the state of Pennsylvania, there were 911 high school football teams with, again, this was the 73 season, 72,880 players.
Okay.
In Pennsylvania.
72,000.
Yep.
Almost 73.
In 2024, in the state of Pennsylvania, there's now 554 high schools, 27,700 players.
Wow. So basically a third.
A third. Yep. Where'd they go, you might ask? In 1973, there were 200, and again, this is just one of the reasons. This isn't the reason, but it gives you a little insight. 1973, there were 250 soccer teams in Pennsylvania with 5,000 soccer players. 2024, in Pennsylvania, 571 soccer teams with just, 15 students under 20,000 participating in soccer. So an increase of 15,000 you've lost 40 some, close to 50,000 players
in football. So there's no doubt that that's part of it. And it's the high level kids. Again, I've seen this, and I think we've discussed it a little bit before. I mean, again, Western Pennsylvania would have 50 to 60 what we now think of as FBS level recruits each year. Now it's below 20.
Yep. Somebody added context to that in terms of the enrollment over that period, because that's significant to try to put this into perspective. The enrollment over that same period in Pennsylvania was 2.7 million. Enrollment was down 700,000 in public schools during that same period. Meanwhile, the population of the state also down over that same period. So again, just some of the factors.
Yeah.
I think if you did the exact same thing in West Virginia, you'd find that the numbers are down here as well. Not to that level, certainly. But
though we know population level is
Sure.
in school enrollment, the level has certainly gone way down in West Virginia as well.
All right, Rich Rodriguez talked with the media yesterday following the Gold Blue Festival. His thoughts.
I finished up spring ball with this practice session, and it was a nice atmosphere, had a good crowd. I think our players really enjoyed it. It was pretty competitive. Not sure we executed really well at times, but I thought they played pretty hard. Had a couple silly penalties that we'll have to get corrected. But all in all, I thought it was a pretty good spring. I think we found out some things that we wanted to find out, and there's still some questions and stuff that we got to get finalized before the first game. But it was West Virginia won today, so that's a good thing. I think only one guy got hurt. I think Prince banged up his shoulder. I don't think it's a long-term thing, a few weeks. But outside of that, I don't think we had any other injuries, which is good.
So, Rich, you said you found some things out. Give me a couple of the positive things you found, maybe just through the spring and certainly today.
Yeah, I think, our quarterbacks, there's a little bit of experience there with Scotty, with Mike, and even with Max, and so you can see some of that. But there's also, they don't have a ton of experience, so you can see how every practice, I think they advanced a little bit. I think we're probably got a little bit more competition at most of the positions. We're getting a little bit deeper, which is a good thing. And, I think, for lack of everybody uses this word culture, but I like where the culture is at, and I think it'll continue to get increased to be exactly where I want it to be.
In terms of Hawkins in particular, now that he got through his first spring with you, your thoughts on him from when he got here to now?
Yeah, he's taking a leap every day. He's a smart guy. It's really important to him. And he's here. He's taking a lot of extra time to learn, and so in 14 practices, I really think he's taken a big step. And throughout the summer workouts, and I know he'll be over here a bunch of times in the summer, watching film and probably meeting with coaches. I think he's what we thought we were getting with Mike. He's shown every bit of that. I'm really pleased with his progress. I think really pleased with Sky's progress, and Max Brown has gotten better too. So I think we have some talent with those freshman guys. So all in all, I think the group as a whole took a good step, but there's another leap they can get to, and that's why this summer is going to be critical for them.
What did you think about the freshman quarterbacks?
Yeah, they all can run, can't they? I mean, they all have the ability to run a little bit, and they're competitive guys. You also see a little nervousness in the throwing. I think sometimes you aim it instead of just throwing it because you want to, you see it, you're making the right decision, and, you don't just let it happen natural. And I think things happen a lot faster, obviously, in this level than it does on a high school level. But we got Wyatt Brown coming in, too, to provide some competition. So the quarterback room, I think, is in a good spot. We got to stay healthy, like, who would have projected what happened last year. But there's some talent there.
Side of things, where did the idea of you did it last year, but where did the idea of going into the crowd and letting them call the 2-point conversions, where did that come from?
I think I first started doing it when I was at Arizona. I don't remember doing it the first time here, and we just had to try to have a little fun with it, and they really enjoyed it. And so I also like to do it because sometimes when you're if you're on the clock and it's not quite as easy to call plays as sometimes you do. But I think I really appreciate our fans coming out today, and I know we got a great concert with Jake Owen coming up, and that's a reason to come as well. But we have some of the most passionate fans in the country. They love West Virginia and West Virginia football, and I think they're going to love our team. I really do. I think it's going to be a really, really fun team to watch, and it's going to be a fun team to coach. And so I'm hoping the folks that came here today, if they haven't bought a season ticket, go buy one because you're going to want to come to Mountaineer Field this fall and watch these guys.
Your observations as a whole of the defense today?
I thought, we were real limited. It really hurt Zach because I made him reduce his playlist way down, and so he couldn't make all his fancy calls and stuff. So we were really generic defensively from a call standpoint. But I thought we tackled pretty good. I think we still got to get work on getting off blocks and recognizing things a little bit. And we didn't throw the ball down the field as much as I would have liked to today. But I think we've got some really good competition at some key spots. Again, a lot a lot of starters were graduating and move on. So we need to have these guys come and be ready to play come August.
Rich, without giving too much away, what are some things that you feel like a negative or two that you feel going into the offseason?
Well, we're not in shape, and no team is in shape in spring ball. And to play it at our pace, you got to be in great shape. So that's what summer workouts are for. I still think our guys, they may know what to do, but they may not know why they're doing it. I think that's a challenge both for our players and our staff is I want our guys to know why they do this in a certain play or a certain call. I don't think in fact, I know we're not there yet. And that's not just a quarterback, that's everybody. And so that's what's so critical about the 42 workouts, the 18 skill developments, whatever we have over the summer, that it's another leap like spring ball was.
Rich, on the online roster, Brian Hansen's kind of like the only punter listed on there. Do you have some of the other kickers?
Yeah, Jack was punting today, and he's had really good spring. Now he shanked one today, but and then Peter's been out with a foot, so he can punt and kick. So we got Jack and Peter and Brian as well. So we got pretty good competition there.
You said a big thing going in was to see, the competitiveness, the intensity, hard edge, as you sometimes call it. Were you satisfied with that today?
Yeah, I was. I think the competitive part, going blue against white, I had said, I thought, okay, I'll give the winners steaks and the losers hot dogs, but I'm like, that's not some, like enough separation. So I said, okay, the losing team has got to clean up the stadium. So that got their juices going. But we have a great cleanup crew, so it might already be clean by the time Monday gets here. So we'll figure out some way to reward the winners or punish the losers. But that competitiveness, when I first did it a week and a half ago, I could see that going through. And guys love to compete. If nothing else, they love to compete, and keeping score that way, I think, helped.
Will your off-season plan be similar to last year, or will you tweak it a little bit?
As far as what the summer goes?
Yeah, summer, OTAs, all that stuff.
Yeah, the summer will be pretty similar. I think now it's the second year for most of the staff. They understand how it's going. Before in the summer, the coaches couldn't even ask the strength coach what to do, and now, we can be involved with them to a little degree. So we'll need to do that. I mean, August, our opener is a little bit later, so we don't start camp until August. But as I said earlier, this is a critical time. We have to somehow force experience into our guys because we don't have a lot of guys that have experience starting at this level. Now we have brought a lot of guys that have started purposely. There are a lot of guys that started at other places, and so they have game experience, but they don't have game experience in our systems. And so that's what this summer and August camp's got to be.
I mentioned earlier this week that you were going to try to watch the film of today 4, 5, maybe 6 times, like entering the start of next week. What's the difference in watching film of like today in inter-squad versus a regular game in the fall?
Yeah, good question. The biggest thing is that coaches aren't on the field kind of telling them what to do or making immediate corrections. They have to wait. It's just like a game. They have to wait till they get to the sidelines. They got to kind of figure it out on their own or with a teammate. And that was one thing that we've got to get better at. There are, once we have a few guys that really know what they're doing, they got to be a good teammate and help their guys out there to know what to do. So there were times that we were on both sides of the ball. They still were, trying to decipher what the play was while the ball was getting snapped. And that's got to get fixed. And, when you do it a scrimmage situation like today, it kind of shows up a little bit more than it does at normal practice.
Coach, you mentioned early in the spring there were times where you thought the coaches maybe should even be harder on the team in terms of being hard edge and not being lazy, things like that. Where is that now?
Yeah, I think it's better, but it's still a work in progress. I mean, my standard of playing hard and the coaches is usually pretty equal, for the same, but not always. Like I'm really, really critical on effort. I mean, over the top critical. Like I'll this might be years of wanting it and experiencing it that, I told the coaches, grade them hard on an effort standpoint because I'm going to grade them hard on that. And so I think that part of it is still coming, but this staff, I think, gets it. They understand, and
with where you are now from where you were a month ago.
Yeah, it's better now. Now I haven't watched today yet. I'm sure it'll be within 2 or 3 plays. I'll watch to see somebody loafing. typically you see it on a turnover, like we had the one turnover return. Somebody was probably loafing before the ball was recovered, and somebody was probably loafing as he was running it back, that kind of thing. And so that's got to get ingrained in our guys. You know, like I said, playing hard and not loafing is non-negotiable. If they're lazy or soft, we've got to correct it in a hurry.
At multiple points last year, you kind of felt like you had some frustrations with the offensive line, and that's obviously a big part of any offense. How are you feeling after seeing them today and in the first scrimmage?
Well, I've had frustrations with everybody on both sides of the ball last year. So, but you know, that wasn't all bad, but there's too many frustrations with it. You know, obviously we weren't very good up front for most of the year, but there's a lot of pride there. They're coaches. I have really good offensive line coaches. I've got good enough talent on the offensive line. I think there's some better competition now. I mean, too deep. You don't want to have just 5 or 6 offensive linemen. You want to have 9 or 10 or 11 that compete, and I think we have 9, 10, or 11 guys that have played some football somewhere and have some experience, and we're pretty demanding. That's the most unselfish position in sports. So that group has to be special mentally, in my opinion. I mean, they have to be, you know, the ultimate team guy. And I don't know if we were here long enough last year to kind of, there were no bad attitudes or nothing like that, but we just did not play as well as they needed to play at times, and you know, it was still, but it wasn't just their fault. But now it's a different group totally, from the way they look, the way they're approaching it, our expectations of them, and all that.
That group, has there been anything, like any surprises or anything you're just really happy with this year compared to last year?
No, it's too early. I mean, I think, you know, I had 14 practices in spring, and then, you know, only 8 of them in full pads. So I think it's too early to really tell. But I think the mental makeup of not just them, but the team is getting to where it needs to be. I mean, last year was a step, but I've told you before, the first year is the hardest year to develop your culture. Now, we did have to flip over a lot of the roster again, so we almost, I don't want to say started over with the culture, because there are a handful that were here. But the handful that are here are really helping us establish the kind of culture that we want and should have at West Virginia.
Rich, the Nicholas Award, I know that you knew Tommy, so what's that mean to you? And
Yeah.
why Cyrus dropped?
I told the staff it is personal to me, because Tommy and I were teammates here. And when he got sick and he passed, it was devastating to all of us. You know, he's got a great family. And I can remember right inside these walls right here when I got told by coach, our position coach, Bill McConnell, what Tommy was going through, and all of us were just stunned. And so I think there's no better person to name this award after than Tommy Nicholas. And then the fact that Cyrus earned it, and he's a West Virginia guy. I think, and I'll tell him. I said how these guys don't know, weren't around them, but I'll tell them what it means to our program, because you know, Tommy was a great teammate.
Rich, what do you think of Kevin Brown's first spring in that environment you're just talking about, with all those veterans, all that competition?
Yeah, Kevin is not like a typical true freshman. He's supposed to be in high school right now. I mean, he's obviously a big physical athlete. Has been coached well, been trained well. His dad has done a great job, you know, training him. And so he's not like and he loves football. He doesn't like it, he loves it, and he's passionate about it. And so his kind of mentality is infectious. And he's what we thought he was when we recruited him. He's what we thought he was when we signed him, and he's going to have a great career here. Okay, thank you.
There's Rich Rodriguez from yesterday. We've got a break here at 7:30. We'll come back and hear from Mountaineer defensive coordinator Zach Alley next.
Answering a text or phone call while driving. Seems pretty harmless, right? But in the 5 seconds you took your eyes off the road to respond, you missed the girl riding her bike across the street. You missed the dog who darted into the road. And you missed the stop sign. And while it was just a ticket this time, it could have been worse. In fact, more than 700 people are injured in distracted driving crashes each day. Keep yourself and others safe. Don't drive distracted. Just drive. This message was brought to you by the West Virginia Governor's Highway Safety Program.
We are there for you, to care for you at the health plan. We are here for you.
For For over 4 decades, we've been rooted deep inside West Virginia. Through thick and thin, supporting local families and businesses. Proudly serving your neighborhood since 1979. Your trusted partner in the community.
The Health Plan, we are here for you.
Live from the Health Plan Studios, the CityNet statewide Sportsline returns in 2 minutes on MetroNews, the voice of West Virginia.
Longer days, warmer drives, and better deals at Dan Cava GMC. Hit the road in one of our new luxury GMC Acadias. Take your pick from our massive selection. Now up to $5,500 off select new Acadias and 3.9% for 60 months. The great deals continue with our large selection of quality pre-owned vehicles. All this and more at Dan Cava GMC in Bridgeport. Shop the world.
With Metro News Hotline, if it's trending, it's probably here.
And then the other thing, his last name is one of those weird Norwegian names where they have 2 vowels that slam into each other. It's like the A and the E are like cemented into each other.
You're like the 12th Dave that works here. What do you think people from Norwegian think about that?
That is fair.
Join Dave Weekly and Coop weekdays for Hotline on Metro News Television.
I'm Sean Kovich, Mountaineer Golf Coach. When disaster strikes your home, business, or golf game, call the restoration company the Mountaineers call. Panhandle Cleaning and Restoration.
Patients who have allergies and sinusitis, they have worse quality of life on many levels. At the WVU Medicine Sinus and Allergy Center, we provide all the most recent technology in office procedures to help patients who cannot breathe through their nose. Patients come in, within half an hour they can leave. Whatever problem with the sinus and allergy you're having, we can help you get the right treatment.
All right, how'd the Mountaineer defense look this spring? Zach Alley puts a wrap on it.
I mean, what can you tell from a spring game? And maybe more importantly, what did you tell from the spring as a whole?
Yeah, I think the spring game's obviously fun because you get to see guys play and, go out there and compete a little bit. See who can make plays, who can't, who can make tackles when it's live fire, and hopefully a little bit of pressure, that you can't, that you can feel in the stadium and the environment, day in and day out. So I do feel like, as a group, we've made a lot of strides since they got here in January. We had a lot to learn, a lot of guys learning how to play, how to practice, how to be at this level. Developing leadership and competitive depth, all of those things are important. We're on the process of doing that. And, the nice part of this year is you don't lose half your team here in about 3 weeks. So hopefully the development, those things that have happened from, January to now will translate as we move into summer and fall camp too.
Rich mentioned how he told you to reduce a lot of your normal playbook for this spring scrimmage. How much did that impact what you could do against this offense, and maybe why there were some plays that didn't go your way?
Well, there's a lot of things I wouldn't have done against this offense if I was trying to game plan them. So, I think there's we called like 5 things out there today, and just over and over and over again off a wristband. So, some of them maybe not advantageous to the situation, and I think they serve the ball in the 40 every time. So it's a tough day when it's 4 down territory the entire time of the game. But the simplicity of it was twofold: to help our guys play fast and have confidence in some of the base things we do, and then I'm not one for showing things if I ain't got to.
Have you gotten enough information from what you've done so far this spring, and how does that impact what you're going to do now carrying over to the summer leading into camp?
Yeah, I really feel, like I said, just maintaining the guys that are on the roster makes you feel a lot better at what you can do well and what you can't do well. I think that last year, I think there was another new 41 players or something in the summer. I mean, so you were building your team again and fall camp, trying to figure out who could do what everybody was good at, what roles you wanted them to play, how you were going to use them. And so I think there's a lot more continuity, leaving spring ball this year with just some understanding of who we have and how we're going to try and use them in the defense.
In defense, when you choose to attack something, you're vulnerable someplace else. Are you good about all your vulnerabilities, or are you still learning those?
Yeah, I think you're always, at least as a play caller, you're always trying to figure out where do you put the stress. There's always stress on somebody, and the more you can put stress on the good players and the better players, generally the better you're going to play. So I do feel that we have a lot of guys where I know where I can put stress on them, and I know what they can do right now, and I think we've improved a lot, just the continuity of the play calls, the continuity of the guys, and it's a little thing, but just having a guy like a Ben Cutter back and a Nick Taylor, guys who've played in the system, well, that helps everybody because they're confident, and they know what to say and how to call things out, and they know how to get the other guys lined up, and so that even though there was a decent turnover on the roster, it wasn't everybody's new and trying to learn. It was, okay, hey, this portion of guys is new, but then when they're in the meeting room and I'm not in there, when they're sitting on this and they're in there by themselves, well, Ben Cutter can go, hey, no, this is why you should play it like this, because he's been in the system. And so I think there's some carryover that just happens by having guys back who've been around that do well, that help encourage everybody who's new. And so I feel like there's been a lot of learning and growth and development, particularly the last about 5 practices.
How do you feel about your linebacker from where they started the spring to where they are now?
Yeah, I think we're pretty deep. I mean, we roll out there about 6 guys who can help us win right now, particularly, both inside and at nickel. I mean, I think our nickel room's really good. We're going to use them a lot of different ways and help those guys be successful. And I feel confident in the guys we have in the room. We're still growing and developing leadership, vocal leadership, and, holding guys accountable and trying to bring the level of the team up with us. That's always the challenge. It's the same as the quarterback on offense. By default, you play linebacker, you're in a leadership role. And if it's not right, it's on you. It's not on anybody else. And so I think the guys like that. I think they accept that challenge. I recruited them like that. They should know that was what was going to happen, coming in here. But I think that they've done a good job of stepping up to the plate. And, even some of our newer or younger guys who are in here, because they see how the older guys act, they're trying to emulate that and have that same style of, accountability out there on the field.
You like where they are from a length athleticism point?
I do. I think we've got a lot of guys who can help us make plays. Some guys have made really, really major strides. Cam Torber has come along. He didn't play linebacker till last year, so there was a lot of learning to do. But he's had a great spring and really excelled and showed out. And same thing with, Malachi Hood, Isaiah Patterson, and Tyler Stolsky, all those new guys. Cuts as consistent as ever. And then I'm excited to get, Ashton Woods back off the injury because I think he'll be able to help us too.
Did you experiment at all with the in-helmet communication today or throughout spring?
I mean, experiment?
Just use it or at all this spring?
Every day. Yes, because that's, it's normal for our guys nowadays. I mean, that's an everyday thing. So, most of the backers are used to hearing me in their heads at this point consistently. So sometimes maybe they don't want to, but they get to.
Where do you think you are right now with a pass rush without you having to scheme? Do you have guys, see ball, get ball guys, you think?
I think we've got a couple of them. I think that we're still trying to make strides there. Obviously, we didn't get the turnover at the edges, position, and I think we lost 6 guys or 7 guys that were. We had like 5 seniors in there last year. Just makes it for learning and developing that same type of style too. I think there's a knack to knowing both how to pass rush one-on-one, and then today we had a couple where like we came inside and you can't come inside, and then now he scrambles out. So a couple missed sacks and things like that. We're just understanding rush lanes and where to be. But I think we've got quite a few guys that can go, and hopefully we'll be able to keep helping them by how we scheme things up too.
So when Matt Say was recruited over here, Coach mentioned that he maybe would get some looks on offense as well. What's his progression been like from when you brought him in to now, and then how has it been managing the possibility of him maybe also playing on offense?
Yeah, I mean, I think Matt's done a great job. I mean, everything you could expect of a freshman, coming into a new system and all that. He's got all the athletic ability in the world, and he's been running really well, and I think he's very smart, so he plays smart. He's very football savvy. He's just a natural kid out there. Like, he understands where the ball is, the angles to take, and then he's got great ball skills and all that. So selfishly, I don't really want him to go to offense, but if it helps the team, I'm all for whatever it is. Not overly. I mean, we're very organized in what we do. So, hey, this period we want for these plays, whatever it is. So we make sure we get him the reps he needs. But, he's primarily on my side, so I kind of get first default depending on what's going on.
Coach Rodriguez talked about the next step kind of being making players know why they're doing what they're doing, not just doing it, but understanding it. How important is that for you on the defensive side of the ball, especially with what you admit is a bit more of a complex defense?
I think it's critical all the time. The situation dictates how you play things, and so, the way we may play a call on 1st and 10 is not the same as 3rd and 1. If the ball's on the 5-yard line, it's different than if it's on the -10. And so guys have to understand the situations of the game, where it is, what's going on. I joked about having 4-down territory all day today. Well, 3rd and 11 on the 40 is run. Most teams are going to treat that as 2nd down. So just having the guys understand why we're trying to do what we do, both situationally within the game, and then, okay, what calls do we like in these scenarios? If coach is calling this, here's what I should expect. And so, thought I had to sneeze. So for the spring ball, it's been good to, we've been a lot of 1st and 10, 2nd down, 3rd down. There hadn't been as much situationally as we'll do in fall camp and things like that. But I think the guys have an understanding of, okay, this is what I'm thinking when I call these things.
Have you seen this spring some growth from the beginning till now in that facet? Players understanding why they're doing what they're doing a little bit more.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that there's a good group of guys. I think that's one thing I'd say about our players this year, man. I have a lot of respect for who they are. I think the character of the individuals is really special. We've got a lot of guys who are bought into who we are and what we're doing. They're compelled to be here and, committed to the program. And I really, it's encouraging to see that, because when you walk by the meeting rooms and now there's 5, 6 guys in there on a regular basis, that understanding is coming along because they want to be in here. They want to be, better every single day. We finished practice and, Jameer Latimer and Andrew Powdrell beat me in the room. They're going to be up there watching film before I've even gotten up top, and that's that way they play well because they understand what's coming, and they have an understanding of the stress of the calls. So I think from that standpoint, our guys have really, stepped up, and I've been very pleased with the people that are in the building.
What do you see on Malik's fumble recovery?
He did a good job of getting square and getting behind it, so that was good. Really, David made that play, coming off the edge, tackling the quarterback. He kept the quarterback from being able to go right there, and then I think Malik was trying to hit his 90% speed or whatever they got to hit in the weight room on the fumble recovery, but that won us the game, so I'm all for it because I was blue team all the way. So he got the win right there, but that was encouraging and fun to see. But I was encouraged more to see the guys get excited and celebrate with them.
All right, Zach Alley from yesterday. We'll get the baseball story from today as the Mountaineers take 2 out of 3 from Houston. Steve Saban's up next.
We are there for you, to care for you at the health plan. We are here for you.
For over 4 decades, we've been rooted deep inside West Virginia. Through thick and thin, supporting local families and businesses. Proudly serving your neighborhood since 1979. Your trusted partner in the community.
The health plan, we are here for you.
Some relationships just work better with trust, reliability, and great communication. That's why more West Virginians are choosing CityNet Gig Fiber. Fast, symmetrical speeds, no contracts, no data caps, and local teams monitoring the network around the clock. Plus, for a limited time, new residential customers can get 50% off any internet plan for a full year, with plans starting as low as $25 a month. Check availability at your address, visit citynet.net, today. CityNet connects, protects, and perfects.
Live from the Health Plan Studios, the CityNet statewide Sportsline returns in 2 minutes on MetroNews, the voice of West Virginia.
If it matters in West Virginia, it's being talked about here.
I always said I was going to move to a mountain in Tucker County, but probably going to put a data center on it, so I got to find a new plan.
Oh, you did not.
Oh, I did. Told you I was a little grumpy today.
Oh, man, you got some zingers today, Dave. I love it.
Join Dave Wilson and TJ Meadows Monday through Friday for Talkline. Available on mobile, Roku, Fire TV, smart TVs, and online at wvmetronewstv.com.
In 1914, the same year the first commercial flight soared and the Panama Canal opened, Greer Industries was born. Herbert and Agnes Greer began in Morgantown, West Virginia, striking the first pick into the limestone formation that would become the backbone of one of the state's great industrial legacies. From the roads we drive on, the buildings we build, and the communities we serve, Greer Industries has been delivering quality for decades. At Greer Industries, we've been improving lives for more than a century.
Leading the efforts to build a stronger West Virginia, the High Technology Foundation has a proven plan to strengthen and diversify our state's economy. The I-79 Technology Park's high-capacity infrastructure continues to attract advanced federal operations that are driving economic growth. This keeps our young, educated residents in the state and brings West Virginians home. The High Technology Foundation, building a stronger West Virginia. Learn more today at wvhtf.org.
We are there for you, to care for you at the Health Plan. We are here for you.
The Health Plan proudly supports our active and healthy communities and has been your most trusted carrier for over 40 years. Log on to healthplan.org for more information.
We are there for you, to care for you at the Health Plan. We are here for you.
Greg, I don't know how we missed this, but the Final Four is currently underway on YouTube of the 2026 College Dodgeball National Championship. Got Michigan State taking on Grand Valley State, and the other side of the bracket, the Buckeyes of Ohio State against Kent State.
So 2 schools from Michigan, 2 schools from Ohio.
Yeah, big and
dominate
big
dodgeball.
Yep. The NIL opportunities. They have all the money. They have all the money. Fairmont native, Deshaun Good, who went to Robert Morris this past year and had a great first year, Horizon League Player of the Year in his lone season with Robert Morris, has committed to the Hurricanes of Miami, Florida.
He was highly thought of and highly sought once he entered the transfer portal a few weeks ago.
So Good is a Miami Hurricane. Steve Sabins, what'd you think of your series win over the weekend?
Great series win. Anytime you can win series in this league, that's what you're working to do. It was a fantastic effort by all the kids. Chance and Cole set the tone going 5 innings and was really crisp with a ton of swing and miss. And through no-hit baseball, I think we ended up giving 2 hits the entire day. So the pitching staff was excellent. We were able to get some guys in there that needed to pitch. Offensively, felt really good about what we were able to do the last 2 days. We just stole some bases. We hit some homers. We got our bunts down. In general, we just played a pretty clean game offensively. Started off good, and there were some things that certainly went our way early in that game to scratch some runs early. I think scoring first is probably really important from a momentum standpoint, especially with college kids. Like getting on that board early, I think kind of changed the course of the game today. Yeah, as good as anybody. I mean, he's just pounding the zone. He's getting swing and miss. He's getting ground balls. The contact, I don't know the numbers, but I would imagine that the contact against him has been as weak as just about anybody in the league over the last month or so. The amount of ground balls and exit velocities in the 50s and 60s. It's just allowed us to have quick innings for him to work efficiently, and if there is a base runner, you always have a chance for the double play ball. I think just maturity, and he's a sophomore that played at a different level with less resources, with different amount of coaching. We probably have more people on our staff than he had on his team last year. I mean, it's just a completely different ball game, and how we travel and how we lift and how we eat and how they throw and how we prepare, all those things. And so we bet on this guy early. He was a Division II freshman that threw a lot of innings, and so we went all in with him from the beginning. We've been starting him since day one because we thought he would grow into this. And it probably, the biggest factor is just who that kid is. Like, from a character standpoint, he is top-notch human being. So he's everything that we want in a player and a competitor here. He's a guy, I say this to our staff, but he's a guy that you're comfortable losing with because you don't have any questions about what he's done to prepare to put our team in the best situation possible. So he's the guy that we want here. He's the guys that we want to recruit. He's everything that we're into at WVU.
Steve, a conscious effort to develop the short game. I mean, obviously Armani sparks you there, but to get the bunt a little bit more involved, to get that going a little bit more.
Yeah, just because the offense has felt a little bit stale, and there's some good pitching performances. So you always got to be careful. Like, just because you don't have 15 hits in a game or score 10 runs, you can't be like, well, the offense is stale. Well, you know, sometimes they drive nice cars too. So if they perform well, you know, that can stymie an offense a little bit. But it felt like we have some speed in our lineup, and we have some athletic kids, probably more than most lineups. And so even like Brock Wills showing bunt multiple times or getting some bunt down, it's kind of that positive momentum or that positive juju. It's like moving a guy over. It kind of keeps the train moving, if you will. And so I do feel like even in game 2, like, we tried some hit and runs that were unsuccessful. We had some bunts. We just played a little bit more offense. It's probably because we had to. Like, we were just trying to scratch a run. It felt like no one was going to score for a long time. But I think we need to mix that in more just because we don't hit a lot of home runs. We don't hit a ton of extra base hits. I guess extra base hits we do, but not a lot of homers. And so we just have to at least have the threat of the bunt. And if they're pounding the strike zone, we usually score a ton of runs if there's walks. If somebody walks us, we capitalize and play really good. But I think it was a conscious effort just to be a little bit creative when it comes to the bunt, the hit and run, some stolen bases, stealing third. And that's what the team's been built on. Like, when we're really good, we usually are stealing bases, and so I think the bunt and the hit and run plays into that too.
Brody said he's visited a chiropractor over the last week. What were your thoughts on his performance coming off that back end?
Yep, incredible. I mean, from the first day, it's the same with all these guys. You watch them so much. You can watch one batting practice from today versus 4 weeks ago and say, I don't know if he'll get any hits, but it sure as hell looks a lot better. So it's just how he's moving, how he rotates, how quick he's moving. So today he blasts that homer to left center, and probably even more impressive was that ball that he hit to right center today was absolutely scolded. And you can't do that unless you're in a really good place with your swing. If your swing's off or you're a little bit injured, it's very easy to like over rotate on balls, but to stay through a ball like that long with that amount of energy was really impressive. So yeah, you feel like, dude, I think we just picked up a really good 5-hole hitter, right? And he hadn't been in the lineup for a long time, so that's a big bonus for the team.
Did you get updates on any of the injuries from yesterday?
Yep. Kelly, swollen wrist, was able to move it, but with some pain in there. So he was on like the putty protocol where you're like squeezing, you're getting inflammation out, that kind of thing. I think he had another x-ray today, and he'll have some MRIs just to make sure. But he was in good spirits and felt good about it. I think it's more just about, can we get him where he can be effective gripping a bat and holding a bat, that kind of thing. And then Yale's tests were really good. Little bit banged up, and he had some pain in his shoulder and a little pain in the bicep, but not in those like target areas you get really concerned about. So we just need to make sure that we put Yale in a situation where when he gets on the mound, he's got his best stuff, basically. And so we'll kind of revisit that, and haven't had a lot of time, quick turnaround, but we'll spend some time with the trainers and his body and making sure that we're monitoring all the recovery that he needs in order to be good.
What went into taking Cole out with no hits after the?
Cole has been sick, so he was one of those victims of that illness that was going around our team. And so, like, in the last 10 days, he's lost 10 pounds and was not feeling good, really. He's in a good spot, but weak, certainly. And so his command went down a little bit. His velo was dropping a little bit. His face, his eyes, his skin, all those things are of a sick man currently. And so he's tough. He would never tell me that. And I went and made sure he was good in the 5th. And he's like, yeah, my arm's good. So for like, you hear my arm's good, but the rest of my body is really bad, right? So it's kind of one of those spots where you just don't want to put a guy in a situation to not be his best. And I think 68 pitches of 0-hit baseball. He literally gave us, I think, everything he had in his tank. So you have a decision to make, like you're rolling back out there. And he gave up some barrels, but you just felt like you're rolling back out there, you're probably going to give up some hits, and the command was starting to drop. And so that's that intuition piece that you can, not you, but like you can always poke holes in if it's too early, if it's too late. If it's too late, he's getting hit and giving up. But if it's too early, and so you're always just try to do what's best for the kid and the team.
All right, Steve Sabins from earlier today. We'll put a wrap on baseball. When we come back, Sportsline continues in a moment.
We are there for you, to care for you at the health plan. We are here for you.
For over 4 decades, we've been rooted deep inside West Virginia. Through thick and thin, supporting local families and businesses. Proudly serving your neighborhood since 1979. Your trusted partner in the community.
The health plan, we are here for you.
Live from the Health Plan Studios, the CityNet statewide Sportsline returns in 2 minutes on MetroNews, the voice of West Virginia.
You know CityNet is West Virginia's leading technology company. Whether we're managing IT infrastructures, protecting the critical data and networks of our region's businesses, or providing fiber broadband, TV, and phone services, we are your go-to experts. We're also a strong partner in the communities in which we serve. CityNet, your trusted technology partner. Learn more about us, visit citynet.net.
Sunshine, open roads, and a new Toyota from Dan Cava Toyota World. Lease an all-new Camry for as low as $398 a month. All new Tundras now up to $8,000 off. All new Tacomas now up to $4,500 off or lease as low as $399 a month. $7,500 off the new BZ or 0% financing for 72 months. We've got a Toyota for you at Dan Cava Toyota World in Fairmont. Shop the world.
We're Panhandle Cleaning and Restoration, and we're gonna save you. We've got it down to a science, an absolute state of art. We do it all, restoration, cleaning, and reconstruction. When disaster strikes, just pick up the phone. We're Panhandle Cleaning and Restoration, and we're gonna save you.
When you hired me, you were 29. You seemed like you were 50 when you were 29. You were running that thing like a 50-year-old man. All right, we got to go get some tape. Come on, get out of there.
I think I've sort of always been 50, and I think I'm 50 now.
Yeah, me too.
That's a great point.
Join Tony Caridi, Brad Howe, and Hoppy Kercheval for 3 Guys Before the Game. Metro News Television. Available on mobile, Roku, Fire TV, smart TVs, and online at wvmetronewstv.com.
All right, out of time. Baseball hosts Pitt. They're 24-14 on the season, coming off a series loss in Blacksburg this weekend, Tuesday night, 6:30. Greg and I back with you next Sunday night. Have a great week, everybody.
From the Health Plan Studios, the CityNet statewide Sportsline is an exclusive production of the MetroNews Radio Network. All rights reserved.